You're watching Kansas City Live.
It's a reimagining of the Mean Girls story, and it's joyful, heartbreaking, and bitingly funny all at once. Actor Bree Woods and director Chip Miller are here to fill us in on Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Hello.
So this is exciting because it is, I mean, so many people love Mean Girls, and there are certain similarities, but not a whole lot. Tell me kind of where does the story depart from being like the Mean Girls movie that we're all familiar with?
Well, it's by playwright Jocelyn Biot, who is both an actress and a playwright. And I know that when she was writing the play, she said she wanted to write a comedy set in Africa because so much of the media that we get about Africa is these sad dramas, tragedies. And so she wrote a comedy about Africa.
Yeah.
In the movie Mean Girls, Lindsay Lohan's character has been living in Africa and moves to the United States.
Right.
In this play, a character named Ericka has been living in the United States and moves to Ghana to go to the sporting school they all attend. And it's about high school girls who can be considered mean girls. But beyond that, the overlap between the two isn't really there.
Sure, but it sounds like there are definitely some themes that we're going to be able to relate to. And tell us about your character, who you play.
I play Paulina. She's the head mean girl. So I think a lot of the show is about how women are sort of boxed in and we have certain expectations, and what happens when you get into a period where you're not really sure where you stand amongst another group of women, and how that competition sort of doesn't really go away just because of the way society frames us. And there's a lot of like mean girl stuff that's going on, and Paulina definitely instigates a lot of it. But you see a lot of the pain that comes into and why she acts that way, and why those other characters act that way. I think it shows a lot of them being sort of mean to each other.
Well, and I was going to say, you know, when you were playing this role, was there any level of understanding, you know, and empathy that you kind of developed for this character as well?
Oh, for sure. We talked about it. We sat at the table for about 4 days when we were reading the script, and we all talked about our issues with like bullies and what we went through in high school, and just as women in particular, and how some of us have felt like there is a need to grow out of that, but you don't really get the information as to how. So I like that all of us we had a way in, either by being bullied or by participating in bullying unintentionally or intentionally. You know, there's a lot of both sides of that coin were being discussed at that table.
It's so important to look at both sides of the story.
Yeah.
So it sounds like these characters have depth, and it's going to be a really interesting and exciting show. Now tell me about from the director's standpoint. Now I heard that you were the first African American and the youngest full-time staff.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I joined the full-time staff at the KCRep when I was 23, and I got very, very lucky to have great mentors in Eric Rosen and Marissa Wolf while I was here to give me a lot of opportunities in both new works and on the main stage. And so I got to direct my first play at the Rep when I was 26, which she was in. And so that's been really lucky, and to get to tell particularly African American stories has been a gift for me. I grew up in Kansas City. I grew up going to the Rep, so to get to come back and tell stories here, and particularly for our student matinee program, and see kids coming to see the shows in the same way that I did when I was a youth, and hoping that theater has a similar effect to letting them feel seen on stage.
Absolutely. It is so important to tell these stories, absolutely. Now, if you're interested, you can check out Schoolgirls or the African Mean Girls play now through March 17th at the Copaken Stage. Do I say that right? Copaken?
Copaken.
Copaken Stage on 1 H&R Block Way. Tickets start at just $35, and we're also going to have a link to full details on that on kclive.tv later on today. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you.